Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go over uranium, do our daily technical analysis of uranium, see if we have anything that we can glean from the charts. Again, this is just my financial opinion. Please don't use it as advice, and we're going to jump right into the charts. Here we go. So here's uranium. So looking at the physical price of uranium, just moving sideways. Nothing too much that I can comment. I mean, we've got a little bit of a pattern here, but it's a very scrunched up kind of large pattern. Let's look at the mining companies, see if we can get anything from them. This is on a weekly candlestick. We still have this bearish engulfing, which means we could potentially head lower. Doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to head lower. We are pressed up against this line going here. So the line here is this guy. We're pressed up against it. Last time we got one of these, we kind of had a pullback, and we squeezed up there. We're kind of squeezing up here. And if we break, we could break to the downside here. You know, a move this way. Just like we had a move this way. And if you look at this one, you know, you kind of come up, you break that trend line, you have a little bit of a pullback. Come back up, squeezed up, break out. Squeezed up, break out. And we could be doing this pattern over and over on an uptrend. Remember, low, higher low, higher low, higher low, something like that. Or maybe it's up here, 75. Looking at where this pull back, sometimes they like to pull back to the tops, but it looks like we're not getting all the way to the top there. So it's probably going to be like at the 80 level, maybe. Seems like we're making that pretty good higher lows. So this could run on it too for a little while and then move down. So I'm not doing anything with my shares. I'm just looking at these charts, seeing what could potentially happen. And we could pull back. Let's go to the dailies here. The daily for URNM. So here's the thing with this daily here. We're coming on up, and we've got this pattern that we broke. And what can kind of trick people out here is we kind of had this false breakout to the upside. We've got some of this declining volume kind of. Nice big up move. And we came out, we're come back. Be careful of this thing coming back, touching it, and then kind of rolling back over. It's called a return move where it could catch you. But it's still possible that this thing, I mean, it is contracted down today. Today is a contraction day. It could reverse, but it can get real confusing when you get this congestion all around kind of a pattern. So what I do is I don't do anything. I just kind of hold on. That's why I don't trade in and out. And Camco's playing with its bottom of the pattern too. Kind of this congestion area here. Like someone's holding it from moving. Here's Next Gen Energy. Again, we broke to the downside, but we are contracting. We could see maybe a slight turn. I wouldn't be a buyer yet. I would wait for it to show me a sign that it's reversing. But there is support down here at $5, right underneath it. So maybe you can try catching it at $5 or something like that. Maybe we get a wick at the bottom and a hammer pattern or something like that. Fission still coming down. I wouldn't jump in front of this train. Let the momentum and the downward move dissipate before going into it. There's support here at about 62, 63 cents. There's support underneath at 55 cents. 55 and 65. So we're going to come into that support. Let it hit support. Let it find support. And Sky Harbor's been selling off. Not too big of a down day today, but just let this kind of base out a little bit, in my opinion. We do have support down here at 50 cents, right where we have support right about where it's at. Let's see if it holds. Alaska is kind of losing its support. It's selling off. So it's still moving lower. Base load finding get some buyers here. We had a nice good move off the bottom here to the upside. Let's see if we can drive forward to the upside. Maybe they got some good news to release. Maybe some news is leaking out and some people are stepping in and buying it. The overall sector is looking kind of weak, and this is got, showing some strength. So that's something to pay attention to. Now let's look at standard uranium here. Let's see if we're it looks like I lost my paint here. Pull this back up. Let's see what we got here. Coming through here. So what I would be doing is I'd be watching out here, guys. So here we go. I'm going to draw this really tight in here. I mean, it's right there. If we see a break or move to the downside, we could see it go lower if it breaks. So watch out for a move lower on standard uranium. We've got fission 3.0. I think this is going to probably continue to the downside. We've got strong selling pressure the past 2 days. Today, we tried to slow it a little bit. Let's see if we got to see this turn before I'm convinced. The selling pressure has been quite great before it. It could continue after it if the sellers are still there. Very rarely do I just see things turn around with 2 large down days right before it. Usually takes some time. ISO energy, nice kind of move downward. We're trying to find some support here. Let's see if we can find it. There's support all to the left in here. Lots of buyers and sellers. So it may thwart the move downward right here. Then we should be looking for reversal candlestick patterns at this moment to see. Hammer patterns, bullish engulfings, bullish piercings, stuff like that. UEXCF is starting to slow its move down. The volume's starting to kind of cut back. We're coming into some more support down here in this area. I'd be waiting to see if we can get a reversal candlestick. That's what's next. Denison Mines, again, we've got this sell-off here. It's drawn it. So we're kind of coming through here. I mean, it's close to some support. We've got support coming through, I think, here too. Now, is this squeezing up to break to the downside? My answer would be yes, as we're seeing it across the sector. Support at a $1.50, maybe that's where we're going to head, somewhere in this $1.50-ish range. So that's something to look at. UU looks like it's finding some buyers at least. Has not broken its trend line. I don't really see any things down here. We got good support in the 725 or 750 range, 750. UEC doesn't look too bad. It's starting to slow its momentum to the downside. Good support down here at 350. It's a little ways away, but I don't know if it'll go that low. And URG is finding support. The American guys are finding support. Let's see if we can hold. UROY is also finding support. Me Roy, no UROY. We did squeeze up into this corner here and break to the downside. Let's see if it holds. Encore Energy also finding support. The American crew is finding support. Psh, the American crew finds support. That doesn't look too bad. Little Banny. What do we got for Little Banny here? So we've got Banner what? Bannerman. Banner what? Bannerman. 10 Baggerman? That's right. Let's see what we got here, guys. I don't know if it's kind of a steep line. We don't have too many hits there. So what I'm going to do is rotate this kind of here. Something like that. And then we've got some. So we are kind of. So sometimes what happens is they kind of trick you. They kind of leak out to the bottom here. I don't see strong selling pressure. I don't see strong volume. I don't see any of that stuff. The volume's declining. We came up here. We leaked out the bottom. Was this thing going to slingshot higher? Tough to say. We've got support down here. I mean, it's not convincing that the way that leaked out the bottom here, because we could reverse this thing higher here. That's why I don't trade in and out, guys. But this thing, I'm not convinced that this is going to go lower, at least not yet. And Deep Yellow is still holding inside the pattern. We're still holding. Actually, let me see here. Did we break to the upside? And is it on the upside of this? I would say it is. Oof. We got good volume coming on the upward move here. This is close, guys. This could move to the upside. on the African crew is not looking as bad. It's not looking as bad. Looking at Forces metals, I'm going to draw these because they're looking different. The American crew looks good. The Canadian crew is struggling, that's for sure. And I think they might see a lawsuit or something with some of the Indians or the natives, not Indians, sorry, natives in the area, and they might be trying to get like a lawsuit to stop them. And maybe that's where all that selling pressure is coming on the Canadian crew. See, now this one, man, we got good coming through here. There's, let me do it here. There's good support resistance right there. Look at that. It's like at the crossroads of everything. So what I'm looking for, let me see if I can, yeah, it's flat there. So we hit our head here. We came up, we sold off again. We hit our head again. We hit our head again. We came up and we're like, no, there's too many sellers up here. Come on back. No, too many sellers. No, too many sellers. There's a lot of sellers. Anything above this line, there's like, it's like a cover of sellers up here. But yet we've got buyers buying it up and putting in these lows here. I mean, we're literally, this thing, when it breaks, it's gonna run out of sellers or run out of buyers. I'm not sure what, and it's gonna break one way or the other. So that's what I see on Forces metals. Goviax, I mean, we're still somewhat hanging in there. This selling day today, it doesn't convince me that this is just gonna blow lower out of this pattern here. So it's still hanging on. And Global Atomic, oh man. Something goes wrong with my paint every once in a while. So here is what I'm seeing here. You know, we've got this, we got some support down there. There's support through here. We're coming on up. We did not like going above here. Did not like going above here. And we got these two strong selling days and this weak up day. This could go to the downside, but we got support right underneath it. It's a tough one. I'm just looking at the candlesticks on the right-hand side here. I'm looking to see, we got big selling pressure here, but we got big buying pressure here. So what's happening is we're big selling pressure coming down, big buying pressure coming up. They're battling each other. Slow leak off of sellers. Big buying pressure coming up, slow leak off of sellers. We go to break out and it gets hammered lower. We got a good lead in here too. So difficult to say what this is going to do. I'm not doing anything with this stock. We have selling pressure in the last two trading days. Today, it kind of stopped at the support line. I can't really tell you where this thing's going. I would favor to the downside with the recent sell-off. But Team Africa is holding strong, so maybe this holds strong with it. And when you get mixed, it gets difficult when you get the sectors become mixed like this. Like this one here, it does look like we have strong selling pressure. We have I can draw on it here. And what we have is we get the selling pressure in there. See the bearish engulfing. You know, this day here. We're coming back up. We got another bearish engulfing. We have kind of bigger down candlesticks through here. There's one there. There's one here. There's a couple of buying pressure days, and that's it. And you get all these selling pressures. The pressure is downward on this. It's not upward. Like someone's trying to sell is selling the stock off. Kazatomprom, it kind of looks like we could see some selling pressure still as it comes up into this point here and then sells off. Maybe. Volume's declining. I'm looking for volume to pick up if we're going to see a sell-off, but I haven't seen it yet. So usually you can see like these bearish engulfings here was the prelude to this move lower. Not really any reversal candlesticks here either. That would have been a tough one to see catch going higher. PenMF, again, I think we're probably going to head to the downside here with the little bit of selling pressure. But the saving grace here is there's no volume. I am not convinced that this is. So what I look at is I look for, you know, the breaks in the pattern. And then I start looking at volume. And this candlestick here, it went to run up, but it sold off. That's usually bearish, but there's no volume here. So I kind of wouldn't, I'm not convinced that this is just going to, blow to the downside. I'm not convinced that it's going to go up either. Kind of neutral. Just looking at it going, what the heck's going on? It's like it's this confused beast called Peninsula. And Boss Energy looks a little confused too. We're coming on up. The volume's been flat. We're trying to break out here. Maybe it can run. Maybe it can defy the rest of the sector, because the rest of the sector is selling off, and this guy looks like it wants to sell off a little bit. This candlestick here is not really convincing. We do have a bullish engulfing here. Usually that means higher, then it reverses with this bearish engulfing lower. It's got good support here. We'll see what happens. LEU, again, it's got some selling pressure. I would not be a buyer when it's this far away from the 200-day. This is a mile, so I wouldn't be doing much of anything if I owned it. And then LTBR, big selling pressure. I'd probably wait for this to relax a little bit and find its legs. I'd have to look to the left to see if there's any support back here. Paladin Energy, can draw on this guy here. I'm just looking. We come down this way, we come up this way. We kind of broke to the upside here, but it's like failure to launch on all these. We're coming to the upside, it doesn't launch. The volume isn't, it's got a little bit of volume coming up out of here. We have declining volume though on this side here. Usually when you have declining volume on a rise, it wants to break to the downside with declining volume. So, difficult to say where this is going, guys. We have a mixed sector, and some of these are blown to the downside here. I think this might have a little bit lower, a little bit more selling pressure. We've got lots of big bearish engulfing here, lots of big down days through here, big bullish engulfing there. Looking at the volumes. Here's Laramide. We'll see where this thing ends up. Bullish engulfing, bullish, big bullish candlesticks on big volume here. The downward moves are on lighter volume. You'd think this would want to go higher here. So that's Laramide. Western Uranium looks like it broke to the downside. It's finding a little bit of support here. Is this one where you kind of falsely break out and then turn it and move on up? I'm not saying that. I'm not claiming that. You got lots of downward pressure in front of this. Usually these kind of bounce up and then fall back down again. This looks like to me that it's rolling over. Could head lower for Western Uranium there. So, what do we got? Overall, the uranium sector, what would I do? I'm not doing anything. I don't think I'd be a buyer here, and I wouldn't necessarily be a seller either. Or if you guys are trading, I would definitely be exiting some of these positions if I was a short-term trader. What we have as our saving grace is we have our valuations behind us, and uranium's an excellent value. Excellent value. We've got inflation. We have interest rates that are rising. So all of the market conditions are intact for this to be successful. Moving on up. Short term, we're running into pressure, selling pressure. So in the short term, we could have a good size pullback here if the sellers want to push it lower. The volumes on some of these aren't that convincing for this big pullback. So I'm not convinced that that this is going to be some huge pullback. I'm not convinced that we're moving higher either. So I'm kind of in a neutral period where if I was a trader, I wouldn't do anything in this sector right now. I'd just wait for a clear direction to propose, to present itself. So I'd just be kind of holding on, not really doing much. That's kind of what I'm doing. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.